Hi YouTube, welcome to Pywarriors. In today's video, I am continuing from where we left off in the previous video, and I'm trying to copy a hero section from the Bulma's website and paste it into my project. And here you can see that I already pasted the hero section there, and so the background is primary here, so you can see that turquoise color there, but it's not loading in the local site. It's probably because we have not put the files in their correct places. So let's check that. There is an error there. It's showing a 404 error that's not found. So we can try to put the files in their right places. So let's copy the zip file that we have downloaded earlier and place that inside the static directory and serve from there. So I am copying and I'm moving that zip file here, unzipping that, then removing that zip file because we don't need that anymore. And now we have to create that static directory. So it's kind of like that templates directory, uh, which resides on the top level, and it it has all the common static files that we need for the project. So actually we have to create that folder first. So we can create a static slash and we can create a static directory, and then we could create a css folder inside that, because uh, that's where we put the css files. And we can also make a directory named js for all the js files, which we will talk about later. We can move that bulma.min.css file into that static css folder. Now that we have moved the file, we can tell Django to look for that static files in that particular folder. So to do that, we have to load up the settings file and have to do some modifications there. Then only it will recognize the path that we are using. From default settings, any static folder inside an app will be loaded, but for a common static directory we have to specify that we need to use this folder as a static directory. So for that we have to specify the static root there, and this would be another directory which will host all the static directories from every app. So we can specify that as a static.dir. And when we use the collect static command, all the static files from every other app will go into this particular folder. So we can name it as static.dir, and then we have to specify the static file loaders there. So that Django will identify the static files from there, but this is only necessary for the development environment, because when we are using it in production, we are not using Django to serve the static files. Instead we will use the proxy nginx, which will be serving the uh, rendered files from Python, and also it will be serving the static and media files for us. So this is all just for the sake of development. So when we are deploying it to production, it will be completely different, which we will talk about when we are going to deploy this into a production server. So we have specified the static file directs as static there. Then we have to add some code inside the urls.py, so that if it is in development environment, when we are in development environment, then the settings.debug flag will be false, will be true, sorry. So if settings.debug is true, then we have to append that static urls to the main url patterns. That is what we are going to do here, url patterns, and we are appending that static urls to the url patterns. And this is only necessary for development, because as I said earlier, we are not using this in production environments, and we are not going to use that development server in production either. So this does not make any sense there. So that's why we are using settings.debug there to check if it is in the development environment. And we can do the same for media also, but we are going to do it for static only now. So we can import the settings there. We can use different settings file for development and production. So but this django.conf import settings will load the correct settings file for us. If we are using a different settings files, it will load that instead. So that's how we load the settings file there. And we are not running the development server there, that's why no, there's some error. Is not a tuple or list. Oh, okay. So there is a typo there, because we have to use a tuple for that, so we have to put a comma at the end. I hope it's working. Yes. So we can see that css is loading, and we are seeing that color there, which is exactly the same as in the website. So we can assure that the css files are loading fine. So we can now uh, put some framework over our website. So to do that, we can use a nav bar, and then we can use some components from Bulma to make a rudimentary website from which we can work further on. So I'm going to do that. So here in the layout section, we can use a nav bar there. So the nav bar is common to all the pages. That's why I'm putting it in the layouts .html file. Yeah, everything is nice and tidy. So let's first check out if that thing is working. Yes, we can see that navbar is loaded, and every styling is applied. So it's as simple as that. So you load the Bulma, and you stick to the structure of the css, then everything is going to be working as expected. But if you tweak that, then there would be some breaking in the css there, here and there. So you have to stick to the documentation of the Bulma to get the exact same as that they are saying. So I am using this card there, so to display each and every item that we upload, we need a card section. So I'm using that as a skeleton as of now, but we will improve on that later. So I have that card there. Bulma has code for every components that is being used, so you can copy that code, and you can modify it afterwards. So it's better to copy that code than uh, fiddling around with the classes. So I'm copy pasting a section there, and then we can cover that card inside that section, so everything will be segregated nicely. So let's see how it looks. So that card has filled the whole of that portion, and we don't want that. So I'll be using the columns to contain that to a particular size. So the column can be is sized differently. It's almost like the bootstrap framework, so we can specify, but it's much more like you can use much more descriptive classes here. So now we can add columns here and put that card code inside that column. So we have put that inside the column, and then we can specify the size of that column also. So for that we can specify the size there. Yeah, I would have some other columns there also. So there is two columns now, so it would be sized as 6 and 6. So if there are two column inside columns, then it would automatically split it in half. So we can specify the size of this first column that the card is residing, and we can specify that as 3, and it will shrink in size. Okay, that would be fine, I think. So now that we have had a basic home page there, we can now go to the coding part of this thing, making it dynamic, loading it from the database. And for that we have to uh, design the models for this project. And models are a way to access the database from Django. So Django provides this object relational mapping where we can write Python objects, and it will be mapped to database objects internally using the ORM. So we can write our classes, our models here, which will translate to tables in database. And this is done automatically by Django, so we don't need to go into the details. So we can have a blog post model here, and it has a title, so it's obvious a post has a title, so I'm using char field for that. And we have to specify max length for char fields. And the way it works is this code that we write in Python will be translated to SQL query by Django's uh, database connector, that is ps5copg2, and then it will be run inside the database as SQL queries, and the result is then converted into Python objects, and we can use it in a Pythonic way. But this is not the optimal way to write SQL queries, because even though it is very convenient, Django ORM is not as as perfect, or we can't control every single aspect of the SQL query. So I have resorted to using raw SQL queries lately because of the performance issues. There are a lot of things that you have to look while using the Django ORM. If it is a large project with a lot of moving parts, then it's better to refrain from using this. So we have a title here, a body here, and an image here. Image for the images in the blog post, and we should need an author. And these foreign key relations and these many to many relations all are managed by Django, so we don't have to worry about that. That's a big plus, because if we are developing rapidly, then this is a great option for that. But for performance issues, I would recommend using Django models, Django ORM here. And we can use raw SQL queries and ORM intermittently, or mix it as we like, so that's not a problem. Mm, so the user model that we are importing is an inbuilt user that Django provides, user management system that Django provides, that is fully fledged user management system that we can just plug and use it. That is very convenient. So that's one of the pluses while using ORM, that many of the things that we use commonly are provided by the Django, so that's a plus. And also we can manage this within the interface of Django. So every model that we create can be accessed via the Django's admin panel, and can be um, managed there, so we don't have to use a third party interface to the database. So like pgadmin for PostgreSQL, or phpMyAdmin for MySQL. And one of the plus sides of this ORM is that we can use different databases, and it's kind of like plug and play. We can just change the connector, and we can use an entirely different database with the same code. So code portability is one of the main uh, attractions of this ORM. But if you are not if you are sticking to a particular database, then it doesn't matter. So we are here creating different fields for our blog post. And there are some boolean values is posted, is featured, and that's for controlling the visibility of the post in the front end. So if it is posted, then we can display that likewise. And we have to create a tag there, and I am using this tag to differentiate each sections, or categorize these blog posts, so that we can put a tag for a particular blog post, and we can search all the blog posts corresponding to that tag. And here we have created a tag model here with only name, and then we are using another table to connect between these two tag and blog post. So that meta class is used to specify permissions. Django has a nice permission system. So but since we are not going into that, I'll just use it in another instance. So we this str class is basically for Django admin. So when we look into the Django admin, the listing would be in the this specified field. I think you understand. So we are using many to many fields for the tag, so that a blog post can have multiple tags. And I have put a video URL also, in case we have to add some YouTube videos there, we can put that also. So we are using char field because YouTube video has particular URL there, and only thing that changes between videos is a single entry, a unique identification number for each videos, and we just need that. Everything else is the same for every video, so only that UID will be changing. So we need only a char field for that particular UID. That's why I'm using this. Now that string part, so that this class, when it is returned, it will return the value of that string entry that we are giving. So this will, when we take the blog post, then it will return the title as default. That's the purpose of that. I think you understand that. And then we can have that uh, blog images. So the purpose of this class is to have multiple images for the blog post. So we can have a single image in the front, and then multiple images of each. It's basically for food, so we can have multiple images of food. So we have to connect the blog there, and then we can have an image there. So we can add multiple entries to this blog images, and have a lot of images for that particular blog post. So there is unlimited amount of images that we can add via this method. So here I am specifying two directories there, which would be created for us by Django when uploading images. So I have a default image for the blog post and some extra images here. That's the purpose of this model. Here also I am specifying the uh, and we can traverse through the foreign key here. So I am here using the title from the blog for each image, so we can identify that. So we have added the models. Now we need to add another model for connecting the tag and the block. So that's next. So there is some error there. I think I have spelled foreign key wrong. Let's quickly fix that. Let's check. There is this. Yeah, spelling is REIGN. And pillow is missing. So pillow is a library that's needed for the image field. So we need to install pillow. So pip install pillow. Make sure you are inside the virtual env. That virtual env is activated before using the pip command. Then this make migrations command will create the migration file, and then when we migrate using this command, it will create the database entries for us. So since we are using the default SQLite 3 connector here, it will be an SQLite 3 database, but when we deploy to the production, it will be using PostgreSQL. Now we can use this database objects inside this views. So I'm defining a query set here. This get query set is a default function, so I am overriding that here, and I want to return all the blocks there. So let's use the Django's ORM here. So return blog post dot objects dot filter. and I only want to display uh, if the post is featured, and I only want the last 5 of them. So this is how we do that. Last 5 of the featured, 5 or 4 of the featured blocks. So that's all for now. So let's see how this works in the coming tutorials. So stay tuned and have a good day. Bye.